Today, we're going to talk steak. We've got some interesting cuts for you, and we're going to unpack the best way to cook steak, some tips, some do's and some don'ts. We've got our bog standard fillet. We've taken the liberty of wrapping this in a little bit of Parma ham. It is a cut that has very little fat content, and so it really is about texture. We have what's traditionally called, Americans call it a skirt steak, or the French call it bavette. It's not something you see a lot of in South Africa. It's the kind of thing you need to ask your butcher for. Very robust. You can see it's quite fibrous. So it can be a little on the tough side, but the flavor profile is really, really intense. With the bavette or the skirt steak, you need to make sure you don't cook it any more than rare or medium rare, otherwise it'll just be tough. But from a flavor profile, really intense, meaty sort of flavor, almost gamey to a degree. Here we have my favorite, which goes by a number of different names. It's a club steak, it's a prime rib, it's a ribeye on the bone. It has different names in different regions. But effectively what this is the shoulder end of the sirloin. You'll see these little white flecks. Now this is all important marbling. What this is an internal fat content. When the steak cooks, that internal fat will melt, adding to a beautiful, it adds to the juiciness of the steak and also adds to the flavor. So very important when looking for what to buy is look for that marbling. What you don't want are these bright red steaks that you often see in the supermarket. You want a duller color. This is a classic. This skirt is a brilliant idea of the kind of color that you're looking for. A deeper purple. See, you've even got some little browner spots because this has been aged quite nicely. Bright red means oxygenated, which means it's a very young, fresh piece of meat. Chances are it's going to be tough. You want something that's been matured, preferably dry aged, for a minimum of 14 days. The longer the better. What happens is the piece of meat will actually start to shrink. And as it shrinks because of the weight loss, because it loses moisture, so what it's doing is it's intensifying the flavor. Obviously it starts to break down the muscle fiber so it becomes more tender, but what it's doing is it's intensifying the flavor of the meat itself.